jibber jab, bamboozle, nuka noozle, bippity bop, she called. You jibber jab, bamboozle, nuka noozle, bippity bop, she called. I mean, you keep on talking, but you don't know where to turn it off.
Welcome to the weekend. I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute. He's back here, and I'm so glad to see him again. Former Governor Bill Owens, thank you for joining us.
It's good to be back with you. I wonder how many times this has been. Probably 10?
Oh, well, when you were a governor,
yeah,
you would come on all the time.
Right.
I appreciate that. Even when we were fighting over issues,
right,
I'd pick up the phone and I said, let's duke it out on the air. And
you bet.
You never did that, and I've said this before. I wish your successor would do that as well. He came on when he was campaigning, but he wouldn't even give us a yes or no whether or not to come on this program. You don't need to comment on that, but it's sure it's frustrating.
Well,
Thanks for always doing it. All right, now it's only a half hour, so I don't want to get too far down this road, but I need a prediction here. How far are the Rockies going to go in postseason?
You know, obviously I'm a huge, well, not obvious, but I am a huge fan, and I hope they go all the way to the World Series.
I'm talking predictions.
There's some tough teams ahead of them. I mean, assuming they have to play Philadelphia or St. Louis in the first round, I think we can beat the Phillies. I think with the Cards, it's about even. Then we have to play the winner of the Dodgers and the winner of the other game. It's a long road ahead, but in a 7-5 game series, they start out at 5, then they go to 7. Anything is possible. This is a good team.
All right, now that was good. You're not governor anymore. You can put out some predictions.
Well,
so if you had the 20 bucks put down, how far? Make it through the first round of the wild card, and then.
I think they're going to win the first round, and then it does get tougher. It's a very good team, but eventually you have to play the Yankees or the Red Sox, the Dodgers. I mean, there's some really wealthy teams out there.
And they really pulled it up in the last half.
Absolutely.
Tracy's done an incredible job.
It really has.
All right. Bring it back here. You were the one who introduced Jane Norton when she announced her candidacy for Senate. First, the obligatory. This is yours if you want it.
Oh,
I know you looked at it 6 years ago, and I know you got kind of close to looking at it.
No, I really didn't.
Really?
6 years ago, I didn't want to be a U.S. Senator, and 2 years ago with Mark Udall, and I'm honored that people think I would want to be.
Don't you get a lot of people knocking on your door saying, do it for the team, come on?
There are, but I did it for 24 years, and I really enjoyed it, loved it, but I have no desire to go back into elective office. Make me baseball commissioner. I would do that, but not. No, and also,
tell me why.
Part of it is that being a governor is such a better job, with all due respect to the U.S. Senate, than being a senator. As a governor, you're a CEO. I got vetoed hundreds of bills, hundreds of millions of dollars. You know, I did things as a governor. And as a senator, especially a junior senator, you're pretty much a backbencher. You're not going to see too much from our friends Mike Bennett or Mark Udall for 6 or 12 or 18 years until they get seniority.
What do you miss most about being gov?
You know, when we went to the World Series, I didn't get World Series tickets, and that's about it. Again, I really enjoyed it. I wasn't burned out.
No chance.
But no
chance of you ever coming back.
No, I have no interest in
so at this point,
office.
then, you can say whatever you want to say.
I have been for years.
All right. Then talk to me a little bit about the inter-party dynamics. I believe that this seat over Michael Bennett is a very open seat.
I do too.
I don't, and particularly now with Romanoff, who is a very powerful politician and a very energetic guy.
Right.
I mean, that's gonna rip their party apart. But on our side, it seems a bit of a free-for-all. Even though now Jane Norton has come in, a lot of people say that it seemed like D.C., the senatorial committee for the Republicans, came in and gave her a blessing before she even announced, and a lot of the grassroots are upset about that. Address that, and why are you endorsing her?
First of all, we have 3 good candidates running for U.S. Senate, and I would support any of them against Mike Bennett. Ryan Frazier, Ken Buck, Jane Norton, they'd all be 80 or 90% of the time voting the way that I would vote as a United States Senator. So my first imperative is to make sure we don't break this party apart, because we're going to have to unite behind that common theme of any of these folks are better than our good friend Mike Bennett. And so that's the first imperative. I don't have any knowledge of Washington, D.C. anointing Jane Norton. I wasn't part of that. They didn't call me to ask me about Jane. All I know is that Jane Norton was an outstanding lieutenant governor, one of the best members of my cabinet, a strong conservative. She'd be very electable and a great United States Senator.
I think Republicans are getting a little licking their lips a little too fast right now. I think they see that our governor's in trouble. They see that Mike Bennett is in trouble, and they are. But I don't think we are where we were back in 1994. I think a lot of Republicans think 2010 is going to be our year. I'm not as convinced, and I think we've got a lot of house cleaning to do in our own shop, and I want to avoid something like what happened between Holtzman and Bob Beaupre in that campaign. I see that in both of the big races, but let's weigh in a little bit first on the Senate race. There's talk that maybe Tom Weens might join in. There's a couple other candidates looking. Do you think a lot of those will fall out? Do you think we'll be able to coalesce behind one candidate before a primary, or is this definitely going to be a primary race?
There very well could be a primary. I think the key, though, is to make sure that we spend most of our time talking about how any of these candidates would be better philosophical and from a policy standpoint than Senator Bennett. Again, I like Mike Bennett, but he votes 90% of the time with the Democratic majority, and that means President Obama, and I don't agree with President Obama's policies. So, John, the key, I believe, is even if we have a primary, let's spend most of our time pointing out about how we differ from the Democrat and not brutalize our party intrinsically over that 10 or 15% of the time we may disagree with each other.
Swinging over to your seat, what was your seat?
Right.
A lot of people, including Democrats, believe that this incumbent governor, Ritter, is vulnerable, which is amazing. Now, we haven't taken out a Republican or an incumbent governor in half of a century. When you won your first time in 1998, you won by, what, 6,000
really
votes?
narrow.
It was narrow.
Right.
And on the second time, you came down with a record, what was it, 65%?
It was a large margin.
It was one of the largest margins in Colorado history. The incumbency is a pretty powerful thing. It's not working out so well for Ritter. We've got two good guys running, Scott McGinnis, Josh Penry. Have you weighed in on that race?
No, but I could easily back either of them. I know both of them. Again, in all cases, the three of us, for example, would agree on 95% of the issues that come before a governor. So the differences between a Josh Penry and a Scott McGinnis are very minimal compared to the differences between those two and Governor Ritter. And while you're correct, we don't defeat incumbent governors very often here. Many other states in recent years have defeated first-term incumbent Democrats. Missouri did, Mississippi did, Alabama did, Georgia did. I could go, there are a number of others. And the reason I know is I was chairman of the Republican Governors Association when we, in fact, helped defeat a number of first-term Democratic governors. So it's possible. Governor Ritter has faced some big challenges. In some cases, people might find him lacking. I'm going to be very careful because he's a friend of mine, and I'm not a Jimmy Carter in that I don't critique my predecessors like President Carter critiques all of his successors, I should say, instead of predecessor. And so anyway,
well, I'll tell you, you can leave that to me. I'm happy, more than happy to do so.
Been able to do a pretty good job of that.
It's amazing, and as you said at the beginning, your job as governor was that of a CEO. And it gives you a lot of power. It seems like there's three jobs worth having in Colorado. It's to be the governor, to be the quarterback for the Denver Broncos, or to have my job. And
or Jim Tracy as the manager of the Rockies.
All right, I'll give you that one.
Okay.
But my knees keep me from playing football. So. There's amazing tact that Ritter has, and everyone agrees Ritter's a wonderful guy. We like him personally, but he doesn't seem to have had a whole lot of executive experience coming in. He ran his small office of DA, which I'm sure has its challenges, but he has managed to hack off both sides of almost every constituency. I look at the union issue when it came to bringing in union workers here in Colorado, reversing a few of your executive orders as well, bringing in collective bargaining. He angered the business community, and then with a couple of vetoes, he's angered a lot of the unions, including the grocery workers union and the fire department as well. And how those bills he vetoed got to his desk, my guess is you wouldn't have let that happen.